I believe we're good now.
Okay, we're ready. Okay, well, let's we're getting called. Let's see, called at 5:05 p.m. Let's go through with roll call.
Mr. Braun,
Present.
Mr. Campbell,
Present.
Mrs. Goldsmith,
Present.
Mr. Lewis,
I'm here.
Mr. Satterthwaite, Mr. Shaw,
Present.
and Mr. Lawson.
Present.
Well, at this time was the best we can. Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance,
Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of
America,
to the republic for which it stands, nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty for all.
Yes, for all.
That was a good. Any additions to the agenda?
No.
Nope.
No. Thank you. What about any public participation at this time?
No.
Okay. Hoping everybody's had a chance to look over the consent agenda, the approval of minutes for last month's board meeting, approval of financial reports and bills for the school district and for OCAW, the approval of destruction, executive session, audio recordings, the approval of ROE intergovernmental agreements, and approval of bus purchase, and approval of the treasurer's surety bond for working cash. I need a motion for approval, please.
I'll make that motion. I'll second.
Mr. Campbell,
Yes.
Mrs. Goldsmith,
Yes.
Mr. Lewis,
Yes.
Mr. Satterthwaite,
Yes.
Mr. Shaw,
Yes.
Mr. Braun,
Yes.
and Mr. Lawson.
yes.
Okay, we'll move on to the reports.
For the superintendent's report, the CDC announced last week that those fully vaccinated were no longer required to quarantine as a close contact for 90 days post-vaccination plus 2 weeks. So for those of our staff who received the vaccine, our 2-week window will be here as far as school time, that's February 22nd. Our third quarter has gone extremely well. We've seen the least amount of student and staff exclusions to date. As of last Friday, we had 0 active COVID positive cases in the district, both students and staff. That has us looking forward to more in-person learning for fourth quarter, and that's really the topic of the conversation and the action tonight on the agenda. Just for everybody's knowledge, we were not able to have the bid openings today because of the weather, so those have been postponed until next Tuesday with the bid openings during the day, and then a special board meeting at night to approve the lowest responsible bidder. Our fourth quarter recommendation is that we return to 5 days of in-person learning. The current schedule that we have Monday through Thursday, beginning March 15th, that schedule will go Monday through Friday. Because of our COVID metrics improving in the county and the school district, my recommendation is that the board vote to discontinue remote learning, the remote learning option for fourth quarter. Again, it will be the shortened schedule with the 2:15 dismissal at VES junior high or 4th and 5th grade, and then the 2:30, 2:38 dismissal for the junior high and high school. One point I want to make public is we have about 190 students all in remote right now, which will be transitioning back to in-person. So with the influx of students coming back in person, transportation times will again be adjusted for many families. Once the board takes this into consideration tonight, Whitney and transportation will begin working on those changes. For our students that are all in remote and continue to fail, I am recommending that the board discontinue the remote option learning for failing students with a required return date of March 1st, 2021. The principals have been in contact with the parents that have students that have continued to fail either first semester or in third quarter. This isn't how I thought we would be having our meeting, but tonight is definitely a celebration for the students, parents, staff, and the community that our COVID conditions, both inside and within the community, continue to improve. Just a general reminder that the current Fayette County Health Department recommendation, if we would have a building reach 10% of students out symptomatic, that current recommendation is that we would need to go remote. I hope we continue to work together. So the only time we have to shift to remote learning is like this week when the snow and the weather prevents us to safely return to our buildings. It looks like by next Monday, the roads conditions and the cold weather should be gone. And then my last update is the recommendation for the 21-22 school year is the 5 days regular schedule. Again, the remote learning option will not be available. I will pause for questions, conversation, discussion, or we can do that when or before the board takes action later in the meeting. Hearing none, I'll let Mr. Protz give his update.
Good evening, everyone. On our high school report, you see we got the testing dates for the remainder of the school year for our juniors and our freshmen and sophomores with the SAT. FFA this year, Ms. Totten did a competition with the money from the plot, and the individual students in the ag business class was responsible for the crops and the money, and they ended up with an $87 profit. So that will go towards the senior scholarships and FFA jackets for the freshmen. So she was really excited with that, and the kids had a lot of fun with it. Also next week is FFA week. Ms. Totten has different things scheduled for each day. Kind of had to make some changes due to the COVID regulations and stuff, but we will be celebrating FFA week next week. Band and chorus both of them will be participating in the IHSA solo ensemble. It'll all be virtual this year. So they'll be submitting recordings. And then our band will also be participating in the IHSA organizational contest, which will also be virtual. So they'll be putting together and submitting a recording for that. And that's all I have for high school.
Mr. Kern.
Good evening, everyone. So the 4-day-a-week, 100% return has gone really well at the junior high school. The teachers are seeing positivity coming from the students. Their productivity has increased, obviously, with more face time with the teachers. So we're really happy about that. And as stated in our original plan, we're doing everything we can, the best we can to maintain as much distance and all the mitigations that we possibly can with everybody back. Picture day, finally scheduled a picture day for this school year will be Monday, the 22nd. The IAR testing window is March 15th to May 14th. We are going to begin testing the week of April 26th, pending any waiver that the state of Illinois might receive from the federal government. We did receive a letter from state superintendent stating that if a waiver was made available, Illinois would be applying for one to bypass standardized testing this year. But we will plan as if we're going to give it. We'd like to thank Mr. Clay for his work with all the schedules and rescheduling that took place in a very short amount of time. As you know, we went from Tier 3 down to Phase 4 within days. allowing competition in volleyball and boys basketball at the junior high level. And I just want to thank him for his work and dedication to getting our kids as many games scheduled as possible. The extracurriculars have gone well. Every school that we have participated against also is live streaming, as we are, since we're only allowing home fans into the gymnasium. Girls volleyball is the only sport this winter that will have a postseason. The IESA has canceled postseason for boys basketball and girls basketball. Track is to be determined yet, but the girls volleyball regional will begin in March and will end in March 19th. They're going to have a regional and sectional tournament and then stop it. There won't be a state tournament. Our girls will have 13 games scheduled plus a postseason. Boys basketball had 13 games. We'll have 13 games played by the end of the season, which must end by March 12th. And then the girls basketball season will begin March 8th and must end May 9th. And we have a full 15 game schedule for our girls basketball team. And then track practice may begin March 1st. Might be a little cold, but we can organize the group by March 1st and must end by June 12th. That's all I have.
Thank you. Mrs. Mesner.
Good evening, everyone, on this snowy, cold day. Like Mr. Kern said, we had a successful return to third quarter after the Christmas break. The 4-day-a-week schedule has been going well. It's busy. All the kids are there, and we're liking that, except for our remote-only kids. We've got almost all of our kids back in school for in-person instruction. We are eating in a lot of different places. Part of us are in the gym, part of us are in the cafeteria, part of us are in the hallway in between. But with staff pitching in and helping and rearranging of some schedules, we're making it work with supervision during the lunch and recess time. We did celebrate the 100th day of school at VES on February 1st. This is something that we've always been able to do. It's kind of a tradition at VES to do that. And so even with COVID restrictions, we were able to do that. Lots of kids came to school dressed like little old ladies and little old men, and it was a fun day. Another fun day we had recently was just this past Thursday. We celebrated Valentine's Day. That's also a big deal with the little ones. And we had a few rules we had to put into place about exchanging Valentines and this and that. But the cooks and Nurse Joy helped get us an appropriate snack that we could eat safely and not share. And we were able to still exchange some Valentines in a safe way. And the teachers came up with some creative ways for us to still do that. Also, with the 4-day-a-week schedule, we were able to incorporate our technology classes back into the kids' general routine. So each child, kindergarten through third grade now, is going to their technology class once a week. That's the class that Mrs. Donaldson teaches. They are amazingly inept at technology this year because of the past 12 months. Even the kindergartners are really, really skillful at learning how to use their devices and maneuvering around it. I've sat in a lot of Google Meets instructional lessons with kiddos and teachers, and it's just amazing how they can follow the rules and learn how to unmute, mute, and raise their hand and turns and all those things with their devices. We also have scheduled a picture day for March 1st and 2nd. So that will be coming up soon. Thank you.
Mr. Casey?
Yeah. 2021-22 registration has started online. The numbers are starting to come in. We're just a little bit low at this time compared to last year, but I'm sure that's probably because of the quarantines and all the missing school and all that stuff. But we hope the numbers will be about normal when it's all said and done. Building trades house. We're on the interior finish stage. The homeowners decided to paint it themselves So the students were doing some work in the OCAL building itself, rearranging, tearing out some walls in their classroom during this time while the homeowners were painting. After this week, they should be done, and we should be getting to trim flooring, cabinets, etc., and finishing up as scheduled. So that's a good sign. Um, Students are registering for dual credit via online. Typically, the community colleges come to the building, but this year they're doing it all online. So it's kind of a slow process, but those kids are being registered. We were going to be giving our program-specific math test to first-year OCAL students this Wednesday, but we're out, so we will reschedule that. I'm sure Mrs. Kern and Mr. Protz have sent a date on an email, I'm sure, but I don't remember the date that we had scheduled, but we will give those math tests to those kids to determine their math skills before they enter OCAL. And prior to this week, our attendance has become more consistent. We were starting to get on a good roll with kids showing up every day, and things were starting to progress nicely. So hope that continues.
And just to clarify, the recommendation to go back 5 days does include OCAL.
Okay, thank you all for the reports. Do we have any reason to go to executive session?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay, so I need a motion to go into executive session.
I'll make that motion.
A second.
Oh, who seconded it? I'm sorry.
Adam.
Adam,
Mrs. Goldsmith? Mrs. Goldsmith? Okay.
Yes.
Mr. Lewis?
Yes.
Mr. Satterthwaite?
Yes.
Mr. Shaw?
yes.
Mr. Braun?
Yes.
Mr. Campbell?
Yes.
And Mr. Lawson?
Yes.
We will be dropping off and rejoining the meeting once we finish our closed session.
You're ready to go?
Okay. I need to get a motion to return to open session.
I move we return to open session.
Okay.
Second.
Second.
Okay. Mr. Lewis,
Yes.
Mr. Satterthwaite, Mr. Braun,
Yes.
Mr. Campbell,
Yes.
Mrs. Goldsmith,
Yes.
Mr. Shaw,
Yes.
and Mr. Lawson.
Yes.
Looking on the approval of district retirement of Penny Critchlow, retiring December 31st, 2023.
I so move.
I'll second that.
Mr. Lewis,
Yes.
Mr. Satterthwaite, Mr. Braun,
Yes.
Mr. Campbell,
Yes.
Mrs. Goldsmith,
Yes.
Mr. Shaw,
Yes.
and Mr. Lawson.
Yes.
I need a motion on the approval of district maternity leave. One, start 1st to April 5th. Also for Molly Edwards, tentatively starting April 19th.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Second.
Mr. Braun,
Yes.
Mr. Campbell,
Yes.
Mrs. Goldsmith, Mrs. Goldsmith,
Yes.
Mr. Lewis,
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Satterthwaite, Mr. Shaw,
Yes.
and Mr. Lawson.
Yes. Connie, can you wake up? Come on, stay with us.
Sorry.
I'm sorry, I don't know. I have no,
We're
I don't know.
gonna need a motion as presented earlier by Dr. Garrison, the approval of discontinuing the remote learning option for failing students with a return date in-person learning on March 1st, 2021.
I'll make that motion.
I will second it.
Okay, Mr. Campbell,
Yes.
Mrs. Goldsmith,
Yes.
Mr. Lewis.
Yes.
Did Mr. Satterthwaite leave? No. Mr. Satterthwaite.
He's been saying yes, but he's muted.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Have I been saying yes the whole time without muted?
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Braun,
Yes.
Mr. Shaw,
Yes.
and Mr. Lawson.
Yes.
Also need a motion as presented earlier by Dr. Garrison, the approval of fiscal year 21 fourth quarter in-person learning begin March 15th, 2021.
So move.
Second it.
Who
Joe,
moved?
can you add with the discontinuation of remote learning as well, please?
Yes, I apologize. That was not, yep. With the,
Sorry.
no, that's all right. So we're going to make the motion with the approval of fiscal year 21 fourth quarter in-person learning as presented earlier by Dr. Garrison, beginning March 15th, 2021 with the discontinuation of the remote.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And who made the motion? I missed it.
I'll second that again. That was Ryan.
Ryan seconded. Who did the first one?
I think it was Joe.
Joe?
Mr. Campbell.
It was John.
Okay.
John did. Yeah.
John and Ryan. Okay. Sorry about that. Let's go. Mrs. Goldsmith.
Yes.
Mr. Lewis. Mr.
Yes.
Mr. Satterthwaite.
Yes.
Mr. Braun,
Yes.
Mr. Campbell,
Yes.
Mr. Shaw,
Yes.
and Mr. Lawson.
Yes.
Said earlier, doing our bids Tuesday. So I'll motion for adjournment.
I'll move to adjourn.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Thank you all.